Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a shocking scenario. Is Donald Trump executing a secret plan to dominate global geopolitics? A recent statement about pulling U.S. troops out of the Middle East has sparked serious questions. Could America be preparing for a much bigger game, stretching from Russia to the Middle East and ultimately leading to a direct confrontation with China? Let's break down this strategy step by step, and stay tuned, because what you're about to hear might give you chills. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss a thing. Recently, Trump declared that U.S. troops are leaving the Middle East because the region has become too dangerous. But is this truly a retreat, or is it the opening move in a far bigger strategy? What we may be witnessing is a calculated geopolitical plan unfolding in three phases: contain Russia by tying them down in Ukraine, preventing Moscow from supporting its Middle Eastern allies; dominate the Middle East by reducing ground troops, backing Israel, and blaming Iran to escalate the conflict; isolate China by undermining the Belt and Road Initiative, and controlling global oil flows to pressure Beijing into submission. Is this a well-calculated geopolitical chess game? Let's break down each phase with hard data and in-depth analysis. Phase 1. Containing Russia. Let's start with Russia. Since 2022, the U.S. has pumped over $50 billion in military and economic aid into Ukraine, a staggering figure, according to the Council on Foreign Relations. The result? Thousands of Russian tanks destroyed and Moscow's economy crippled by Western sanctions. But what's the real objective here? A bold theory suggests that the U.S. is deliberately tying Russia down in Ukraine, preventing Moscow from aiding its allies like Iran or Syria in the Middle East. Take a look at the map. Russia maintains military bases in Syria and supplies weapons to Iran. If Russia is bogged down in Ukraine, it leaves the U.S. freer to act elsewhere. But there's a catch. There's no direct evidence proving the U.S. is using Ukraine as a diversionary tactic for Middle East dominance. The Ukraine conflict is deeply influenced by NATO's interests and Russia's own aggression. Still, one signal stands out. The U.S. has recently scaled back aid to Ukraine, pressuring Europe to shoulder the burden. Could this be a green light for Ukraine to strike deeper into Russia, as seen in the recent drone attacks, while the U.S. shifts focus to a larger objective? Let's move to Phase 2. Phase 2. Dominating the Middle East. Now let's turn to the Middle East, the powder keg of oil and conflict. Trump says the U.S. is pulling troops out because the region is too dangerous. But is it really that simple? Let's look at the numbers. U.S. troop presence in the Middle East has dropped from 170,000 in Iraq in 2007 to just 2,500 by 2023, according to the U.S. Department of Defense. Reducing boots on the ground aligns with Trump's long-standing policy, but could it actually be setting the stage for something bigger? Picture this. The U.S. cuts ground troops but ramps up air support for Israel. Under the 2016 agreement, Washington provides $3.8 billion annually to Israel, and Israeli airstrikes on Iranian targets in Syria are often coordinated with U.S. intelligence. But here's where it gets darker. If Iran retaliates, perhaps through proxies like Hezbollah or cyber attacks on U.S. infrastructure, what happens next? Trump could then blame Iran for triggering economic collapse, a stock market crash, a banking crisis, or worse. And there's a critical detail. The U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve, SPR, had fallen to just 350 million barrels by 2023, the lowest in decades, after being drained to stabilize energy markets. The government claims this limits its ability to deploy large ground forces, but could that just be an excuse to shift toward air dominance, letting Israel take the lead on the ground? Meanwhile, the U.S. has diversified its energy sources, reducing dependence on Middle Eastern oil. Still, a major conflict could disrupt the Strait of Hormuz, through which 20% of the world's oil flows, sparking global market chaos. If Iran is cornered, who's the next target? Let's move to the final phase. Phase 3. Confronting China. This is the final move, China. If the U.S. controls the Middle East, it could undermine China's Belt and Road Initiative, a multi-trillion-dollar strategy linking Asia, Africa, and the Middle East with major investments in Iran and Saudi Arabia. Controlling oil supplies could weaken China's position, but it's not that simple. Why? Because China imports oil not just from the Middle East, but also from Russia, Africa, and Latin America, and it has its own strategic petroleum reserves. More importantly, China now possesses the world's largest navy by number of vessels, challenging U.S. dominance in the Indo-Pacific. But let's be clear, China in 2025 is not the same as in 1945. It's the world's second largest economy with a powerful export machine. While the U.S. could support allies like Japan and South Korea with naval power, what happens if China seizes the moment and reunifies Taiwan? Or if North Korea launches an attack on the South? The comparison to World War II is worth noting. Back then, the U.S. revived its economy through weapons manufacturing. Today, America is already the largest arms exporter in the world, nearly $200 billion a year, according to SIPRI. But rebuilding large-scale industrial capacity would take decades, thanks to decades of deindustrialization. Could the U.S. stay on the sidelines, sell weapons, and become the fastest to recover, while the rest of the world collapses into recession? But every grand strategy comes with serious risks. The U.S. could become overstretched trying to confront Russia, the Middle East, and China all at once. Military recruitment is struggling, down 25% in 2022, and the $886 billion defense budget for 2023 isn't limitless. Allies like Europe or Japan might not be eager to join this dangerous game, and China, with its rising military and economic power, is no easy opponent. What happens if the plan fails? China might seize the moment to reunify Taiwan, a high-risk move given Taiwan's defense capabilities and America's commitment to protect it. A North Korean strike on South Korea also seems unlikely, considering Seoul's 500,000-strong military and 28,000 U.S. troops stationed there. Still, a world consumed by conflict could ironically benefit the U.S., just like in 1945. Maybe this is all speculation, but it raises a chilling question. Is Trump playing a much bigger geopolitical chess game than we ever imagined? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think this is a real strategy or just a wild conspiracy theory? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dive analysis. Thanks for watching. If you want to dive deeper into the hidden truths of geopolitics and world-shifting scenarios, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Share this video with your friends and drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'll see you in the next video.